Fans have long speculated that Revale, the bloody god of war, is the greater demon that took down Stark's village and traumatized him for life. Or was that Aizen? Given that Revale's fight was against Aizen in the Goddess Monument arc, it only makes sense that his pupil, the cowardly but ever-growing Shaky Stark, who keeps getting trained by random NPC senseis, will be the one to get his revenge one day. With another week in the books of our warping memories of Himo the Hero, Yamada Kanehito presented another script to the great mage Serie that said, "We're gonna have Frieren save your life." After chapter 146, with the Shadow Warriors duo of Werlos and Gorilla Dubs making their way through a super secret passage of the old unified empire to partake in the role of yeeting the great mage Serie, the feet goddess. Everything about the Foundation Festival arc is about legacy, and so it's not a big surprise how the ideas behind Himo the Hero's legacy negatively affected these characters of the Shadow Warriors, who act as the antithesis in the flaws of what being a hero ultimately means in the perception of the people of the future. With Falch getting his arm lopped off, it was Sense that sent Frieren's party that included Fern, Stark, and Gold TP to meet up with him to make their next moves. Narratively, this is the perfect party to interact with Werlos and Gorilla, as it makes perfect sense to attack the very crux of their characters. Although Werlos, aka Razin, heeded his close friend's advice in Aizen that it's okay to be fearful and live to fight another day, but in the back of his mind, he still yearns for an honorable end on the battlefield. It was humanity's strongest warrior, Aizen, of the hero's party that could have defeated him, but now they're old and long past their prime. Because of Razin's forgotten history of everything he's done for the Empire, I mean, he regained a third of the land back from the demons himself. Gorilla became just Christ and became the opposite of wanting to be remembered forever. He ultimately became a shadow. This sets up the legacy aspect that is happening in this entire arc. It's literally called the Foundation Festival arc that addresses Frieren's biggest themes and lessons that have all been derived from Himo the Hero's character, including the rest of the hero's party, and where Flamme's legacy of providing magic to the rest of the world, where it takes humanity. Fern is the legacy from Frieren, who is the legacy of Flamme's, who is technically a legacy of Serie's. With Werlos' character falling into the shadows, that can be addressed by Frieren herself, who knows of Razin of the Ode, that can tell Gorilla that she hasn't forgotten him at all and knows about many of his feats. With Zine being there, that obviously will address Gorilla's character. And so finally, to the star of the video, Stark. He is Aizen's legacy, the guy that gave Stark his scar because he was afraid of his true strength. Stark is the answer to Werlos' desire to fight an honorable end, which makes it more poetic because it would be the remembrance of his old friend's legacy that has the potential to be the one that ultimately defeats him, and potentially make him realize that maybe Aizen was right all along. This is one major aspect of the arc that addresses some of the pitfalls to what Himo the Hero tried to accomplish with this inspiration to do good for the world. And later on in the Frieren Manga, chapter 147, the broader effect becomes characters like Commander Reve, who we find out his real name is Hilt, and his servant was actually the strongest warrior in the Southern Lands at one point with Lyra. I'll eventually go back to making an entire video about them and their role in the Foundation Festival arc and how it relates to Himo the Hero. But back to Stark. If you guys watched one of my older videos of Stark, I presented how Stark was being used in Frieren. He's basically the satirical parody of typical shonens with the classic crybaby archetype that goes from fear to an utter badass at some point. It's pretty comedic how he's used and how he's shown getting stronger without ever showing his behind the scenes growth. In the first class mage exam arc, he was basically MIA during all the action. He gets trained by random masters of various villages. His last great battle that he actually did anything out of this world amazing was with his 2v1 with Ganao against Revolte during the Divine Revolte arc. Instead of lightning strike down, he gave us one going up. This can only mean he's gonna do one from sideways. During the Golden Land arc, he tanked Solitaire for Fern before turning into gold, And then after Frieren released everyone in the fortress city of Weiss from Dia Golds, he helped catch Fern after she ripped the fat one from really far away. Fern and Stark are our classic shonen shoujos that we know are slowly building their romantic relationship. I mean, look at them, aren't they cute? In the Foundation Festival arc, he proved how ridiculous he has been this entire series with just being the craziest tank of tanks that specializes in almost dying. Warriors might have a mean Zenkai boost. This incident of being poisoned and with the reintroduction of Zion, this sparks Fern's entire next step in her character development in being very angry. Zion mentions just how ridiculously resistant he is at things that should have easily yeeted him and made the craziest saves in protecting Frieren from poisonous arrows and then protecting Fern from being blindsided by Gazelle. Since fighting Revolte, these two moments stand out the most for Stark's character. He really is the party's protector, as he tags along with Frieren and Fern to find a dead spirit Himo in Oreo. Are we sure Frieren's gonna find the prime Himo the hero, or is she gonna find this? From his introduction of being a wimp, fighting the big red dragon, fighting Linny, being trained by random masters, running away like Himo but carrying two waifus, letting a demon put a hole in your body, almost getting eaten by other dragons, helping support Fern in the solitaire fight, helping save Frieren and Fern from being yeeted. Stark right now is at his absolute peak and hasn't fully flexed how strong he really is since like chapter 76. Gazelle mentions how strong Stark is and that he wouldn't be any match for him. But with two Shadow Warriors like Gazelle and Shrit together, that would make it much closer of an even match. Shrit is considered top 5 in terms of swordsmanship in the Empire. Technically Gazelle's referring to Iris and Wolf, but my point still stands that Stark might be a lot closer to Werlos' strength than we think. Among the Shadow Warriors that we know of that is not Commander Reve, Werlos is considered the strongest, per Clematis saying he's basically his strongest pawn to use. Vaush can concur. This all sets up for Stark to have another great shonen moment of rising to the top and overcoming his fears when it is needed the most, and maybe using fear to help save everyone when it is needed the most. I basically recapped Stark's entire character arc, and we have a rough idea how his character development will shape out when he faces Werlos and Gorilla. So what will be next after the Foundation Festival arc for his character? Briefly after leaving Allburst from the first class mage exam, Frieren's party runs into Weirbo soon after. Looks like he has to handle some more demons in the north and would like to bring Stark along because they already built good rapport. What I failed to mention before was a very known greater demon warrior, the strongest known demon warrior in Revale, the bloody god of war. It is likely him that took down the village, known for spawning strong warriors like Big Brother Stoltz, likely looking to find a challenge beyond fighting guys like Werlos and Aizen before. When it comes to demons and warriors, it's honorable and prideful to die on the battlefield, to have this epic fight. What we learn about Aizen is that it's about fear and surviving longer than those that were stronger than you. That is what made him become the strongest warrior. Werlos seems to be the test run before Stark ends up facing the real demon monster later on. Warriors tend to look for a good fight, so the greater demon Revale, who is a human equivalent general in status, would naturally seek out a warrior on Stark's level. This is all assuming that guys like Commander Louv and Lyra types aren't around. It's almost poetic irony for Stark to eventually face the legacy of the guy that hit Revale with the lightning strike, delivering damage to Revale, who recognized Aizen's immense strength in his fear. To fight another warrior that carries on this legacy of fear almost feels inevitable. Revale also shows up in Werlos' backstory with Aizen. Narratively, this is all pushing us towards an eventual encounter with Revale once more, with Stark being involved. It makes too much sense not to let this eventually happen in the story. If Weirbo and Sharf, and maybe Ere, too, Frieren's party that may include Zion as well, they may eventually meet back up with them. And the demons that Weirbo may be facing could be against that greater demon, the bloody god of war, Revale. So yeah guys, let me know what you guys think about Stark's character, where he's going in the Foundation Festival arc, and if you guys think that Revale is the one that tore down Stark's village? Is this all eventually going to take us to when Stark is going to fight this greater demon? What do you guys think? I would love to know. And do me a favor, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, check out my blog at otakusend.com, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.